Jacobin magazine. There's always been something a little bit off about them that we couldn't quite put our fingers on, other than, the consistent supporting of the FSA and other anti-Assad forces, which they should rightfully be criticized for. But there was always that one little thing that, you knew there was a problem, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. And that's the way I'd always seen them. And I had always just chalked it up to the fact that they really have some serious Trotskyist leanings. But now we finally have an answer. An investigation has been done into Jacobin magazine, and it shows that they have been receiving money from a Zionist organization called the Jewish Communal Fund, which says to facilitate and promote philanthropy through donor-advised funds. Jacobin magazine has been funded by a Zionist group. Now, one year they received $2,800. In 2019, they got $171,000. Jacobin magazine, which is recorded as a non-profit organization dedicated to allegedly spreading Marxist leanings. Now, they've always had something very strange going on with them, but now we know. And this explains why they've always had this U.S.-led regime change in Syria and Venezuela. Why they couldn't seem to understand that despite the fact that Venezuela is not socialist, it's social democrat, is irrelevant. Venezuela has the right to decide its own fate, to decide what system that they want, free from imperialist intervention, imperialist meddling. Now that thing, that idea of the right to self-determination was something that a fair amount of leftist organizations seem to have a problem with. I've always said that you don't have to like Assad. You don't have to like Baathism. You just have to respect Syria's right to determine their own fate. Respect the right to national autonomy. No, respect the right of self-determination of the Syrian people. But Jacobin magazine never did. And it was hard to believe that an organization which propounded itself so hard to be Marxist and yet give all these Trotskyist kind of positions. Well, now we know it's not really the Trotskyism. It's the Zionist funding. And they've had people of very dubious Marxist positions like Doug Ina and other writers along those lines. And it turns out that they have been taking pro-imperialist money in order to forward those specific pro-imperialist guidelines. Now, I've always had essentially a problem with them because of the questionable positions they hold, but this is a whole different level. When you're taking Zionist money and not like stealing it or taking it and not doing what they want, but to continually over the years receive funding from this organization, you are a sellout. This also explains some of the very strange posts that they've made about Palestinians and Palestinian solidarity and Palestinian rights, which you can just go to their website and just look up anything they've written on Palestine. But I think more importantly, this points to COINTELPRO. And a lot of people don't like to think that COINTELPRO is a real thing. But here we are. If a leftist thing being funded by a Zionist entity isn't COINTELPRO, controlled opposition, etc., what is? And that really explains why they've taken some of the strange positions over the years. I mean, I'm sure they're not the only ones. I bet there's a lot of organizations like them that are taking that kind of money. And it really, we could really start to see how a lot of it poisons and influences the left. When you've got organizations that propound a lot of gender theory, not gender critical theory, but a lot of gender theory being literally funded by the CIA. And I mean, on the website where they list their donors, the CIA is right there, out in plain view. And anything that's funded by the CIA should already be looked at with a skeptical eye, regardless of what it is. So I think this should finally put the nail in the coffin of Trash Bin Magazine. I've always really wanted to say something about them, but couldn't concretely say anything outside of their pro-imperialist stance. But I think now we have it. And it's about time the leftist community finally tell Jacobin that you're not welcome here anymore. You, as a Zionist-fueled entity, have no space in the left. Well, the radical left, anyway. I'm sure some people on the more moderate left would be very welcoming of such a position. But each and every individual person has to make a decision on where they're going to stand towards Jacobin Magazine. I'm not going to tell you how to think. I'm not going to tell you you're not allowed to read it or that you, or anything. I don't play that game. Because it is always important to understand the views of the enemy, to understand how they think, what they want to do, etc. But I think at the very least we should stop regarding this as a leftist publication and understand it for what it is. An enemy of the proletariat, not just domestically, but internationally as well. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.